Hi, this is William Smith from CX Today, bringing you all the latest kind of customer experience industry news. And today I'm joined by Peter Brooks, who is responsible for contact centers in EMEA for AudioCodes. And we're living in a time where enterprises are challenged to kind of improve their customer satisfaction while at the same time also reducing their costs. And the question often is, are there strategies to kind of modernize contact centers that also avoid the expensive and disruption of total kind of cloud replacement? So the first question I wanted to ask you is do existing contact centers need to fully migrate to the cloud to add new capabilities?
Well, actually, the good news is no, they don't have to. I know that most of the contact center vendors like customers to fully migrate, of course, to the new platforms and to bring them away from the on-prem deployments and go for a fully cloud solution. But the good news is that even with an existing platform, you can still add on top of your existing platforms new technologies that will allow you to leverage some of the newest technologies in the world of UC and CC. Mm-hmm. And we see that a lot these days, where people have invested lots of money, resources, and time in deploying on-prem deployments, on-prem CX platforms, whether that's Genesys, Cisco, Avaya, you name them, and then now being pushed to a subscription model, being pushed to a cloud, where they say, well, actually, the existing platform does what it needs to do. If only we could leverage some of the newer technologies, like, for example, conversational AI, or allow us to integrate what we have with, for example, Microsoft Teams or Zoom Phone, or work from home better. Mm-hmm. And if we could add that on top of what they have, they would be fine. And that's what we at AudioCodes have been doing for the last, let's say, 2 years, and especially over the last 18 months since March 2020, when the pandemic hit us, and a lot of people were looking at, okay, what do we do? Are we migrating to clouds? Are we sticking what we have and just add new technologies to optimize the customer service? What do we do? And that's what we've been busy with over the last 18 months, I would say.
And what do you see as the kind of the key capabilities that can be added to existing contact centers to improve customer service?
Well, there are a number of things. Over the last couple of years, we've already seen a big shift, especially if you look at the UC platforms, right? Where going from the traditional UC platforms, the Avayas, the Ciscos, the Unifys, the Mitels, etc., a lot of people have gone and made the decision to move to Microsoft Teams. If you look at the daily average users that they have on Teams these days, it's like 145 million active daily users. It's immense. Right. Next to that, you've got Zoom Phone that's coming up, and then all the rest is like way behind. So a lot of those of the questions we get is, okay, we have decided to move to Teams. For the UC part, can we integrate Teams with our existing platform? Yes, you can. And that's where AudioCodes has a number of solutions where we can help them integrate an existing platform with Microsoft Teams, for example. That's let's call it the connection or the integration between the UC and the CC part. Next to that, you've got obviously the whole work from home question, where until, let's say, mid-March 2020, most of the contact centers had people working from the office. Right. So you had one office with, let's say, 500 people working in there, and all of a sudden, from one day to the other, it was like you had 500 offices with one person working from there. So how do you manage, how do you allow that to happen? And by adding a WebRTC soft phone as a voice endpoint for the agent, you make it really easy to make that happen and to add that on top of an existing platform. So you don't have to rip and replace, you just add the WebRTC functionality for your agent. Very easy, because it's easy to deploy for IT. It's easy to maintain. I mean, there's nothing really to install on the laptop. It's easy to maintain, and it's easy to guarantee good voice quality, because you can use Opus, and Opus will give you better voice quality when you have to go over open internet. For an
Right.
agent, nothing changes. He just has his agent desktop. He has got a URL that he uses to get his soft phone. That's it. So nothing special for everybody. So it's easy to deploy, easy to manage, and it kind of guarantees good voice quality. So that's way better than what a lot of people have been doing in over the last 18 months. And that's like, call comes in, and they just forward the call on a home phone or on a mobile for an agent that's working from home. So that's not a good solution, or not a maintainable solution for the long term. So going for WebRTC and adding that on top of your existing platform is a great way to allow your agents to work from home. And now, obviously, you want to be able to monitor and manage those solutions. AudioCodes, next to providing that WebRTC soft phone, we also provide the management tools. So we've got our One Voice Operations Center. There's a management and let's say that will allow you to manage the whole deployment, to troubleshoot, and to kind of guarantee that the voice quality is superb and that your customers are hearing the agents and vice versa. That are just two of the many advantages that we can bring. If you look at, for example, and that's a hot topic these days, everything around conversational automation and conversational AI.
Right.
A lot of the contact centers, because of the pandemic, they had an immense increase in interactions coming into the contact center. We're not able to really handle them well, and looked at, okay, what do we need to do? Are we going to staff additional agents, or are we trying to do something, let's say, smart and try to automate where possible? Now, a lot of them have been doing automation, but primarily on the digital channels. Over the last couple of years, a lot of the enterprise customers had a big focus on digital channels. So a lot of the vendors, consultants, etc., had been telling them, voice is going to die. It's digital. That's the way forward. And if you go digital, you have to automate. So what did a lot of them do? They put in the focus on the digital channels, did automation, typically chatbots. And there's some really great chatbots out there, but it's chat. And it's more focused on those digital channels. Right. And if you look now into the contact center interactions, a lot of the interactions are still over voice. So they've spent time, people, and money, and they can only use that automation for a limited number of interactions that come into the contact center. Right. So what was the question that we received from a number of our customers was, okay, can we use that automation and enable it to allow to help the voice interactions as well? So kind of voice enable your chatbot. So yes, we can. And that's, let's say, next to everything that has to do with integration with Teams and work from home or work from anywhere, that conversational AI, that's the big next thing that we've been working on from AudioCodes, where we allow you to easily integrate a chatbot that you've already developed with an existing contact center. So right. No need to rip and replace, just, let's say, a nice innovative solution over the top of your existing platform, where you use the existing platform, where you use your existing chatbot, and you just voice enable it. And one of the nice things about the AudioCode solutions that we have is that it's actually vendor agnostic, in the sense that we can kind of connect any chatbot with any contact center and allow them to use kind of any cognitive services, as in speech to text, text to speech, that you want, or that's applicable for your vertical, your customers, your languages, or that's the best possible solution. And we allow you to mix and match and create the best possible personalized service for your customer.
Well, and earlier you mentioned the complete kind of transformation to working from home for agents. I wonder if you could just speak a little bit more about how best can existing contact centers kind of support those new work from home agents?
Yeah, because what have we seen so far? In most cases, agents were working from the office, right? Had typically had a desk phone, or I was going to say, in best case, they were using a soft phone. But that soft phone typically had to be installed on a laptop or on the computer of the agent. It needs to be maintained. It needs to be upgraded. It needs to be. When you then move that whole installation, if I can call it like that, to the home office, it's not always going to work that easily. So what most people just want is say, okay, agent is going to home. We can't control that environment. So what do we want? We want him to work over just a basic internet connection and make it as easy as possible. So instead of having to install soft phones or shipping phones to agents, the easiest way is just give them a URL where they need to browse to, and where behind that URL is the WebRTC soft phone,
Right.
and they just have the soft phone. And if we then can make it even easier and integrate that fully into the existing agent desktop application, like for example, a lot of the larger enterprise customers will be using Genesys Engage. Genesys Engage, the majority of the deployments use WDE, so let's call it the fat client interface for the agents. We allow the agent or the IT companies to just integrate the WebRTC soft phone seamlessly in WDE. So for the agent, nothing changes. He's got his same user interface, his same way of working. The only thing is there's no soft phone that has to be installed on his laptop. There's nothing to deploy. There's nothing to maintain. So for the IT department, it's the easiest way to allow hundreds or thousands of agents to move from the office to home in the blink of an eye.
Right.
And for the agent, nothing changes. So he just continues to work like he was used to. So it's a very easy way of allowing people to start working from home. And that's on the agent side, of course, of the things. Now, what we've also seen is the customers, their behavior has changed as well. The majority of, take for example, retail banks. Normally, most of the people, when they had to do something, they just went to the branch, asked there, had it done, and that was done. Now, all of a sudden, most of those branches were closed. So they said, okay, pushing everybody to the digital channels. Go to the website, call them, whatever. So by using WebRTC for the customers, you can also bring innovation to the contact center. Just having, for example, a click to call button, instead of you go to the website of the bank and then you've got this phone number, you get your mobile out, you start dialing, and then you dial the customer, and then it goes like press 1 for English, press 2 for French, press 2, and then 10 minutes later, hopefully you get someone on the phone. And then typically what happens, you actually got someone to speak to you. So yes, I've got an agent. I can ask my question. It goes like, oh, you're calling for a loan. I will have to transfer you to my colleague, and you're off again for the next 20 minutes on hold. And then you finally get to speak to someone. So not really good for the customer, not really good for the contact center either, because it's not the best use of your agents. So what do you do if you use WebRTC? You can actually include this click to call button on the website, or not just on the website, also on a mobile application. So that same application from that bank that's on your iPhone or your Android device can actually work the same way. So instead of having to dial the number, you just click the button. And because I'm already authenticated, the bank knows that it's Peter Brooks. They know my mother tongue is Dutch. They know that I'm looking at the web page where it gives all the information about car loans. So we can actually take all that metadata, send it with the call, and then the contact center can actually use that to route the call to the best possible agent. So instead of going through that horrible IVR, let's say the customer experience would be, good morning, Mr. Brooks. I see you're looking at loans for cars. How can I help you? In my mother tongue. Right. So that's a completely different story than, picking up the phone, dialing the number, and being transferred 3 times, and then hopefully get your question resolved. So these kind of innovations we can bring is not just on the agent side, it's also on the customer side. And it's an easy add-on. I mean, literally, this click to call button is literally 6 lines of code that you need to add to your website. So it's not something that's very complicated or hard to manage or hard to do. It's easy to achieve, and it brings personalization and great innovation to your contact center on top of the existing platform. So you don't have to rip a new place. It's just nice to add this on top of what you have.
Well, and you've spoken of your voice automation kind of capabilities at AudioCodes. I wonder, are there any kind of challenges for existing contact centers to implement such technologies, and how do you help them overcome that?
Yeah, because if you look at, let's say, conversational automation, and especially voice, it's two different worlds, right? If you look at bots, typically the bot frameworks and the bot developers, those guys are used to work in I typically call it the HTTP, HTTPS world. Voice engagement channels, that's SIP. Now, those two things, they don't talk to each other. They don't know how to interrupt. So you need some kind of an orchestration layer that's going to allow that SIP that voice engagement channel to talk to that HTTPS world. And that's exactly where AudioCodes comes into play. And it goes back to our DNA. I mean, we've got, how much is it's like 27 years already that this is exactly what we're doing, right? It's voice related, it's interop, all these different technology, all these different streams that need to talk to each other and that needs some kind of translation to make it work. That's what we've been doing 27 years already. And that's what we're great at. So we actually allow that SIP world to connect to the HTTPS world by using the latest and greatest of cognitive services from the Microsoft, Azure, Google, all the other vendors that have great text-to-speech, speech-to-text technologies, and allow that and bring that together and orchestrate so that a customer can call an enterprise, be helped by a voice automated bot, and then if needed, being transferred again to an agent where we don't lose let's say the conversation. So for example, agent calls, is being helped by the bot, and for whatever reason he needs to be transferred to an agent. It's because the bot doesn't know the answer, the customer has asked, but you don't want to give them a call transfer, right? So bot transfers it. The agent, you prefer the agent to know what has been discussed between the customer and the bot, and that the agent can pick up where the bot left off. So we actually make sure that we transfer all that data so that the agent knows what has been discussed and can actually pick in where the bot left off. And it's the next big thing we see in the contact centers, where next to the digitalization, it's the conversational automation. We're working with a number of our leading enterprise customers on this, and some of them have great expectations where they say, okay, we actually are aiming to automate like 80% of the interactions that come into the contact center. Some of them have even expressed bigger targets. Now that's not on the extreme short term, but over the next coming years, that's where they want to go to, and that's what we are helping them to achieve by voice enabling the bots that they have already in place.
Well, Peter, thank you so much for your time. I think you've answered all my questions really comprehensively, and yeah, it was great to speak to you.
It was really nice talking to you, and I hope we can do this again in the very near future.
Fantastic. Well, and if you've enjoyed this video, please do share on social media and subscribe to our channel as well. This has been William Smith for CX Today, and thanks again to Peter for his insight, and thank you for watching. Thanks. Bye.
Thank you.